What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Clutch. My name's John. We are continuing our Women's History Month, and we are interviewing a different lady in the industry every week. I have the very great pleasure of bringing up one of the hardest working women in the industry right now from Full Throttle Reptiles. Everyone say hi to Alyssa.
Hey.
What's up, lady?
Nothing much. How are you been?
I'm doing wonderful. I mean, a little bit of pain, but I'm doing all right. I jacked up my hip really bad like 2 weeks ago. And so I'm like, if I sit in one position, you're going to see me fidget really bad. If I sit in one position for too long, I'm like, it starts to get all achy and crazy. And I feel like I'm like 70, 80 years old and I'm only 30 something. So it's fine.
Yeah, I can't sit still. I feel your pain.
All right. So Full Throttle Reptiles. Let's dive in with the name. What made you choose the name?
Well, I really don't know. So I've always rode motorcycles growing up and dirt track raced when I was younger. And, Craig has always kind of been involved in all that too. But I don't know. Like when I started collecting snakes, we had both had street bikes. We rode quite often. I don't know. I really don't remember. But I also change oil every day. That's what I do for a job. So I don't know. It just kind of fit.
Nice. Wait, that's what you do for a job? You ride
Yeah.
motorcycles for a job?
No, change oil.
Oh, you change oil for a job. Okay.
I wished that'd be a little bit more fun than.
So you're like a Tech 1, Tech 2. What do you do?
I'm actually a service center manager for an oil changing place.
Okay.
So technically, I don't get to change oil anymore. I just have to tell people how to change oil. Same thing.
I was having so much freaking fun with it though this week. I was like, how do I want to play on this name? And so I ride. I'm actually in a club here, and I was getting ready to do like a video of me doing a burning out and then just going as fast as I could into the garage and have my wife record it. And I just put a brand new tire on the bike. So my wife was like, you better not fucking burn out. Like, that's the last thing we need. Because those tires aren't cheap, man. Like, those tires in and of themselves are like $200 some. So I didn't get to do the promotion video I wanted to, but I thought it would have been badass. Next time.
What do you ride?
2012 Street Glide.
Okay.
Big old bagger. I like the cushy stuff. I like to be comfortable when I ride now. I don't want to be all hunched over.
Yeah, no joke. I don't think I could do that. I tried. Jack and Sydney, they have a little 50 dirt bikes. And I tried getting on it this weekend. I was like, oh my God, I can't bend my knees. I tried starting it and I was like tongue to sober.
Nice.
It's rough.
So we were talking a little bit earlier, and you said that you've lived in Tennessee your whole life. Has your whole life been kind of surrounded by animals, or how did the craziness passion that, because you say Full Throttle Reptiles, but you got a farm going on essentially. So how did it all come to play?
So I used to work with my dad during the summers, and he would take me to this pet store in the area where he used to manage some rental properties. And all I did was paint and clean his houses that he would get ready to rent. And he let me buy a leopard gecko. And I went to this pet store and I seen all these crazy animals. And, growing up, I didn't really watch cartoons. The only cartoons I can even remember was Scooby-Doo and Steve Irwin. So I was like a Steve Irwin freak from the get-go. I don't know. I just started collecting leopard geckos, and my mom would never let me have a snake. She's terrified of snakes. She still hates the snakes. And she's pretty much the main reason why I have a snake house now, is because she wanted them out of the house before my ball python killed my child. But we had leopard geckos, and I was breeding gerbils. I remember when I was in middle school, I had a friend stay over, and they would like not sleep in my bedroom because I had a collection of gerbils going on. I thought that was normal. But I don't know. I've just always raised like all kinds of weird stuff. I had ducks growing up and chickens. And I've always lived in the city, or right now we live 1 mile from the city, but you can't have chickens in the city here. There's weird. A lot of things you can't have in the city. You can't have like a snake over 6 foot. It's kind of really strict, but I've always had whatever I wanted. But when me and Craig first got together, I had a cat, and that was it. And then I begged him. I was like, I always wanted a bearded dragon. He's like, okay, we can get one. Then the next week, I was like, can we have something else? And then before you knew it, we had like 100 snakes. And at the time, we were living with his parents, and she also hated snakes. So
wait a second. Did you say within a year you had 100 snakes?
Oh, yeah, pretty much.
Holy hell. And were those all hatchlings, or did you plan like right within the first year, hey, I'm gonna breed, I'm gonna do this, or was it just the obsession hit really hard and you just couldn't stop yourself from buying animals?
Yeah, I mean, I bought like some crazy stuff too. Like if I could afford it, I was like, I'm gonna buy it. So I learned the hard way. I ended up getting pretty serious, sold a bunch of stuff that I didn't need. And then I met these people from Manchester, Brittany and Charlie Brock, or Redmond, sorry, she just got married. And they kind of like steered me into the right direction. And I was working in a vet clinic and seen a news article about this man that did a knee replacement on a dog. And it was Tom Harbin, which is fairly well-known snake breeder. And he actually lived like 20 minutes from Brittany and Charlie. So that's how I kind of all got tied into that and started getting pretty serious. So then I downsized some stuff, and then I bought my first expensive snake. And I mean, I still maintained about 100 snakes, but I got a little bit more serious.
That's great. I couldn't even imagine that within the first year, dude. Like, I'm not gonna say I went easy into it. Like, I plunged head first, but then my wife kind of gave me the look because I was in the military when we initially started this, right? And I got put into a medical retirement, and we were like, well, the guaranteed paycheck, not that it's not a guaranteed paycheck now, but like the guaranteed paycheck every 2 weeks that we were used to was stopping. So it was like, you need to calm down. And I think I was at like 40, 45 snakes. Like, yeah, you're probably right, because I don't want to breed rats, and I don't want to do this, and I don't want to do that. I just wanted to enjoy the snakes. And then I had it in the back of my head, well, if all these other people can breed, so can I. So I'm going to start buying the equipment. I'm going to start doing this. And I let it get out of hand really freaking quick. Like, I want to say that we jumped up to where we were in like probably like 4.5 months.
Wow.
And she just kind of gave me this look, and her mom was living with us at the time. So like, you had your wife and then your mother-in-law just like giving you this evil gaze when you walked into the house constantly, because you're like, the money's going to animals and not preparing for the future. I got a bad habit of that, but that's just me. So you're at 100 snakes. And then you said you initially started bringing in actual breeding quality stuff. So what initially caught your eye? Like, what made you decide this is what I want to do?
I mean, so Brittany and Charlie always been Tinley, and she always talks about it. I'm like, man, I liked going to freaking Petco back in the day just because I just liked looking at animals. And when she mentioned this show, I looked it up, and I was like, oh, there's no way. Like, we're going. So, and I needed a snake rack because at that point I I had a lot of snakes in tanks. I had them in like PVC enclosures, and I made Craig drive all the way to Alabama, which is like 2.5 hours from here, to buy this melamine rack. And after that, he's like, no, that was entirely too heavy. No wonder it was like dirt cheap. Like, we're going to buy an actual rack and it's going to be decent. So then that's when I started buying my sea serpent racks. And that was the only reason why we went to Tinley, is just to get a rack. But after I went to Tinley and like actually seen like how much snakes went for, and I mean, it was just fun. It wasn't necessarily like the money aspect of it, but it's just crazy that animals really sell for that much money, you know? But I don't know, after that, I just got really serious. I say that, but I still buy stuff I don't need. Like a duck.
I was cracking up with that. Like, that post literally reminded me of Brittany Gobble's stories. Like, how she's always telling her Johnny, hey, look what I'm gonna get. That was funny, dude. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it if you have the space, but that's the other hard thing for us. Like, you know how in Tennessee you guys actually get yards? My backyard is literally like, even when you're in the city or the suburbs, you get a decent sized backyard. Like, my backyard is like, I think 20, maybe 25 feet deep by 50 foot wide. Like, I could like throw darts in my backyard.
Wow.
You know what I mean? It's tiny, but luckily we're not going to be here much longer, but it comes with time. So what was the first, or what would you consider to be the first investment that you really made besides Rex? Like, what animal was your first investment animal?
Sally, which at first they all had names, but her name is Sally. She was a banana het clown, and I bought her in 2016. So it wasn't the most expensive animal, but I think Tom had her priced for like $1,200, and you know, I didn't pay anywhere close to that, just because I was like so fangirling over Tom. He's like, wow, that. And I remember on the way home, we stopped, and he had just got done moving to Alabama, and his eggs were in Brittany's incubator. And I actually got to see his first visual monarchs that he produced. And at the time, like, those were like expensive. And I got to like physically hold those. And that's really what sold me on it, I believe, is watching those hatch. But you know, I thought I was going to die when I paid that much for a snake. And then I went and held $50,000 snakes. But I mean, that was kind of a big deal. Jesus. I didn't want to spend, you know, that much on an animal.
No, I mean, monarchs are still, for a single gene, they're still up there in price. I mean, I'm pretty happy about it. It could stay there all day because I just finished paying off my first visual. I'm getting ready to pick up a second one later this year. So definitely diving into that. I guess if you want to dive into it more, because I know we when we're on the same shows, you and me will go on and on about Monarch while everyone else is like, oh, Ultramel. It's a Zach thing. I love Zach, but damn it, he should have been a Monarch guy.
I aggravate him all the time.
So what's your focus on so far? Like, if you had to say you had a specific project or something that you wanted to work on, what would that focus be?
You know, I'm just kind of here or there. So this year I'm trying to my end goal is monarch pieds. I have a lot of pied stuff. I have a male that could potentially be het pied. But my girl right now, she's fixing to do her pre-lay shed. So hopefully that will be my first clutch this year, actually.
Nice. Hell yeah.
I don't think I'm gonna have a very good year this year because I didn't really pair like I normally would because of moving. But that one is a pretty good goal, I'd say. Tri-strap hides. So I actually have a pair of double hets that I've been pairing up this year. So we'll see.
So you're working a lot of double recessive stuff. That's good.
Yeah.
Nice.
This, you know,
Planning
I
for the
haven't really
future.
kept, huh?
Planning for that future. I like it.
Well, I haven't really kept any of the babies I've produced. And I mean, just last year, I produced about 200, I guess. And last year was the first year that I kept maybe 10, 15. But the year before that, I only kept like one. And the year before that, I don't even think I kept any.
So how long have you been doing this?
Maybe 6 years, I think. Five or 6 years.
And within 6 years, you're producing over, well, you said 100 babies, right? So you're doing like, were you averaging like 8 to 10 clutches a year so far?
Last year I had 36 clutches.
You had 36 clutches?
Yeah, maybe I had more than 200 babies last year. I probably did have more than 200 babies last year. I stopped counting at 200.
Yeah. That's insane,
but yeah,
dude.
36 clutches. This year I have 74 girls paired or could pair this year.
Jeremy wants to know why no holdbacks.
Well, our first or second year breeding, I found out I could not have kids. So I focused on my animals more. And then I figured out that we'd have to do IVF. So I had to sell a lot of, pretty much, we moved into a house of absolutely nothing. And I kept a handful of animals when we moved here. And basically, all I was able to afford was, cheaper single gene stuff, raised that up, produced babies off of that, sold those, and just reinvested that money. So starting off, I didn't have any of my personal money to spend. It was about what I could afford and what I had prior to getting started to do that. And actually, the first year, that money that I made off all those clutches actually adopted our oldest little girl. So really, everything I sell, I just reinvested.
That's awesome.
I haven't really, I don't know. I bought some adults starting off, and I guess that's the reason why I've done it that way. I got some of Tom's old breeders, and it's just like super pastel stuff, and just simple stuff that I don't need to keep. And I was starting to do shows with Tom. The first day that I met him, he's like, "Hey, do you want to travel to some shows with me?" I was like, "Of course." I don't know. I just haven't.
So I would say that Tom's kind of like the mentor, right?
Oh yes.
He's the one that gave you all your hands-on for your learning with breeding and your experiences.
Yeah.
And kind of walk through, like you said that it was over at Brittany's and you got to hold his first monarch, but how did that relationship kind of form for you guys?
So when I bought my first expensive snake, I literally just squalled. Like, I was so excited. And he's like, it's been a really long time since I've seen someone get this excited over buying a snake. And he was just like overjoyed that I was just so excited. And I'd already had the name picked out, Sally. And funny story to that is that's actually what he calls his wife. His wife's name is Sarah. And for some reason, he calls her Sally. So it was kind of funny that it happened that way. But I don't know. I mean, I was just so excited. And like I said, I seen his name in the vet clinic I worked for. So it's pretty cool seeing that he done big things like that other than, you know, just a ball python breeder. He's a veterinarian. So I don't know. I just like learning from him. Either way.
Heck yeah. So 6 years, you started with mentorship with Tom, and then you started going to shows with him. How long did it take you before you started vending shows on your own?
Let's see. He asked me to do Daytona with him, and I was every bit of like 7 months pregnant. Like I was mega fat, and he introduced me to Justin Kabelka, and I literally almost passed out at his table. So I guess that was in 2017. So literally the next year I vended my first show in Daytona. That was my first show I vended. But I didn't set up by myself until 2018. We didn't do any of the big shows but Daytona. So we vended that one, and then in 2019, he got me a table at Tinley. So I vended my first Tinley in 2019.
Wow. So he's kind of been like the propelling force behind it a little bit. Like obviously your passion's there and Craig's passion's there, and then every time you need that next boost or the next move business wise, he's like, hey, you should do this, you should. That's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, we spend each other's money. I'm like, what do you think I need? But I don't know. When I bought Sally, I was like, one day I'm going to have a Monarch. That was my first Daytona embarrassment. I almost passed out. Justin shook my hand, and I didn't let it go. I like banged it on the display. I was so embarrassed.
How far are you guys vending now? Because I know you come all the way out to Arlington, which is, that's what, almost
14 hours maybe?
Yeah, I was going to say that's 12 to 14 hours of driving for y'all. Because it's 10 from me, and I know where you guys are at, I think it's like 22 hours straight driving for me.
Wow. Yeah, so we did Arlington last year. We always do the Daytonas and Tinley. We do Atlanta, which is about 2.5 hours away from here. Knoxville, Nashville, but that's really about it. I mean, Texas is really the farthest I've ever been in my entire life. and Chicago. I mean, I've never been anywhere else other than that. Wow. I don't travel much. I didn't travel at all until snake shows.
So are you going to vend Arlington again this year, or what's the plan there? Or are you just going to come hang out?
I still can't travel for work. They won't let us cross state lines. So can't do Arlington in April. That is out. Yeah. But I will definitely be doing Daytona this year. I've already got my table and everything for that. I don't know. We might do the St. Louis stuff. I don't know. Tom usually just sends me a text and he's like, hey, you want to go? We did one Louisiana show. Slidell, I think. What's my favorite show? Honestly, Daytona's my favorite show. That or the Arlington show is like perfect. There's not a lot of people. It's good vendors. You actually can move.
To be fair, I go there twice a year because you went during COVID, right?
Well,
last time, or it was like right before it hit.
Yeah, we did like when they
weird.
were saying COVID was a thing. That was in February, and then we did September. So, yeah, we did both. COVID really wasn't a thing when we first went.
September. I don't remember if it was the February show or no, I think it was the September show when I met you.
Yeah. September was a little different than February. the
It was
pre-COVID.
kind of weird. Like it was still a good turnout, but it wasn't typical Arlington turnout,
Yeah.
or at least what I'm used to. Like it's not it's not Tinley and it's not the California shows. Like you're not rubbing shoulders against everyone because it's a decent sized venue, but it's still, I guess, pretty packed.
Hmm.
I felt like this last year was, I'm not gonna say half, probably a little bit more than half of the capacity we're used to seeing there.
Really?
Hmm.
See, I
It's a
guess
pretty big show.
February. Um, I don't know. Like it was maybe like 3 weeks before everything pretty much got serious with COVID. Um, it was fun. I don't know, but Daytona is probably my favorite, just because that's usually we take the kids with us, and my in-laws go, my mom goes. So it's our beach vacation all in one.
Nice. Heck yeah.
So it's just fun.
So when did you said it was your mom that initially kind of pushed it and made you create your she shed, right?
Yeah.
So when did the design and the idea to build your own little spot come?
So it was actually when I had COVID. I didn't really do a whole lot. Like I work 50 hours a week, so I don't really have any spare time whatsoever. So being home for a solid month, I kept looking at like just buildings and stuff because I'm getting to the point where I needed another rack, but I had no more room to put it in my den. We also own part stock in Toys R Us, I believe, because we have toys like overflowing in the entire house.
Dude, yes. I feel your pain
um,
on that one.
And Jack is wild, my youngest kitten. He's like wild. One day, I was expecting to come home and all my snakes be out because he just goes in there and just starts looking at what he wants. And I have a berm, so that's really what pushed my mom. She just always complained about my berm. And then I have the Helis. She didn't like the idea of that either because she Googled what the name was. And then my olives, she's seen those, and she just never shut up about it. And I don't know, none of my family likes snakes, so no one ever comes over, which is a great thing because I'm not complaining about that. But everyone always complains about my snakes. I just got sick of hearing it. I'm like, okay, it'd be nice to have somewhere organized too where I can, put stuff the way I want it. And I don't know, that's the only bad thing that sucks is I'll never move again. Like I'll put an additional building somewhere, and then when it comes time to us to buy a different house, like I'll hook this building up and everyone is staying put in here because that was miserable taking every single rack apart and cleaning them. I probably could have just rolled it out here, but I'm too OCD for that.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I'll never move though.
So how long from the time you really thought of the idea to the planning and what you wanted to do did it take to bring it to fruition?
So I had my money saved up. I started discussing the idea, I think in September. Um, no, August. After Daytona, I really started thinking about it. Um, and then in September, I started looking at buildings. That's what it was. And then finally, I had all my money ready to go. We went and looked at them. We looked at a smaller size. I think I wanted like a 14 by 20 or something like that. And I went to the lot and I was like, nah, this would be plenty enough room. And then I started looking in the catalog and they had a 14 by 40. And I was like, well, that's the biggest you can go. And they're like, yeah. And I was like, okay, let's do it. And Craig's looking at me like, do you realize how big that is? I was like, no. I was like, you have one on the lot? And he's like, no, we don't keep them that big on the lot. I was like, okay, I'll just get it anyways. So I ordered it, didn't know exactly how big it was. I didn't really put in my mind, how big 40-foot long was.
Right.
But I ordered it that day. So I probably had the idea maybe about 2 weeks. But as soon as I had my money, I went and bought it. And it took forever for them to deliver it. So I had a little bit of time to plan out, what I wanted. But I don't really plan stuff out. I just do it.
There's nothing wrong with that. It's nice to go and fly. Sorry, I just stepped on my mic cord. It's nice to go and just kind of fly by the seat of your pants. I do it a lot. It's fun.
Yeah.
If I planned everything out, I would be a lot more boring.
Yeah, I'm really OCD, so I like everything on a list. So I did write out a list of everything that was going to need to be done. I needed to make sure like I'd have enough money to do all this stuff, what I needed to find somebody to do, what I could do. That was really it. I went there and I seen the biggest option in the book, and I said, I'll take it. I need a porch for my goats. I'll take it. So I don't know. I jumped on pretty quick.
So, how many different species are you working with then? Because I was going to bring up the Heloderma. Obviously, I used a picture of one of your pictures with the berm earlier in the week, so I knew about those. Apparently, I didn't do enough research about you because there's a lot of animals I guess I didn't know about.
So I have the caiman, my little alligator is what we call them. I have the caiman. I have an eastern indigo.
Okay.
I have olives. I have some super dwarf retic stuff, and I have a woma, just one. Hognose, samboas. I think that's about it. Yeah, the berm.
Nice.
Oh nope, and I have a little Sanzinia, just one. That's it.
Do you plan on breeding anything other than just ball pythons, or?
I have a trio of super dwarfs that they're 3 now.
Okay.
In still the size of corn snakes. And then I have a pair of olives, and I'm hoping my heelers are a pair. If they're not a pair, I'll just keep buying more until I get a pair. But yeah, I do Sambos too, but that's just kind of, and I have a pair of hognose. That's, I'd like to have a male indigo, but I'm not trying to go like crazy, like multiples of everything. I just, just want a little bit of here and there.
Just a little.
Yeah, just a little, not much.
So, how much of your 14 by 40 is reptiles so far?
Oh, the whole thing. I thought I was gonna have enough room for like a couch in here. I could if I rearrange some stuff. But I mean, I could probably add 3 or 4 more levels to my racks.
Okay.
Kind of like Billy did. However, I do have ceiling fans in here, and it's only like an 8-foot ceiling, so it's not like crazy tall. And I could, give up some of the alligator space. Oh, and I have rhino iguanas too. So they'll need some room too when they get older. So I'm trying to save some room out here. Do it.
Just a little bit. They only need a little.
Yeah, I don't know. I could kind of condense some more space. The vision cages kind of take up a lot of room, but pretty much every bit of it is filled up.
And that's the biggest building that they sold. Wow.
Yeah.
Good job.
I want to get my my baby racks redone, my hatchling racks, so that way I can go up a little higher and fit a little bit more in there. Kind of make some more room, because last year I didn't plan on having that many babies, and I had to go buy some like emergency racks from someone local to give me a little bit more space. So they don't match, so that's not going to cut it in here. So they have to be redone. I'm just trying to recuperate some of my money from this place. Right. I didn't think it was going to be this expensive either. But
everything with reptiles is expensive. Maybe I could talk.
Yeah, everything.
You should know that by now. You've been doing it for years. Like, the reptiles are expensive, the caging is expensive, but that's why we like it. I think. I don't know.
I mean,
Maybe not.
I don't know, but I just spent $1,000 this week on thermostats, so that's almost a rack. That sucks.
So are you going straight ARS then?
Yeah,
Or what's your plan?
I have all ARS except for the hatchlings. I like my hatchlings in PVC just for the simple fact, I don't have to worry about them shedding. It just works out better for them in PVC. I don't know. But I'm hoping to get like some sea serpent racks made, a little bit smaller tubs maybe with deli cup holders. That's a must. But everything else is ARS, and then I have the vision cages, so it has to match. But I can be okay without the hatchlings matching, I think.
So what's been the, I don't want to focus on the negative, but what's been the toughest moment for you within your time with either keeping or breeding? Like what's provided the most challenge for you?
No, I'm just not confident in the sense, I want to make sure. I don't know. My biggest struggle is, I guess, what I'm trying to say is, I still question myself about genes because I'm still trying to learn. So IDing stuff, and you see people post all the time about, don't breed it if you can't tell what it is, and this and this and that. But there's really nothing, like no go-to that you can say, okay, this is what you look for in this gene. This is what you look for in this gene. And you see people all the time bashing people for selling something that it is, and it's not. So I mean, that's been a really big struggle. Is I have some babies that I haven't even posted on my morph market from last year's clutches, that I haven't even sexed because I haven't figured out what the heck they are. So they're just sitting here growing. But I mean, that's the frustrating part for me. It's just trying to see what everything is.
That's gonna kind of be a continuous thing though, because every time we turn around there's another 10 morphs that just popped up. So
yeah, that's been
or the combination, like there's morphs that play different ways once you put it into a combination. So
yeah, that's been the most difficult part for me, I think. All right,
I think that's really going to come with time though. Like, not that you don't have time in it, but like,
I need a lot more.
a
lot more.
Like I'm good with the stuff that I bred this year, but it's just because it's very simple. So I completely feel your pain on that, Alyssa.
Mine's pretty simple too.
I don't know about that. I heard you made some pretty crazy stuff. Hey.
This year hopefully will be better. See, that's the reason why I like doing recessive stuff, because it either is or it isn't.
Right.
That's the simple stuff. Pieds were my favorite thing to breed. When I first started, my first year breeding pieds, I used a het pied and a pied. So there were no questions on what I had. I was like, yes, this is the first clutch. I'm absolutely 110% confident. This is what it is, and this is what it's not. But
heck yeah.
I don't know.
So what would you say is your biggest goal for coming into this year? Like, you seem to be making leaps and bounds every year. What's the next goal that you want to hit?
I mean, I just want to get some double recessive stuff this year. And I want to hold some of that back. I'm pretty excited. This is actually, because, I told you I haven't kept any of my hatchlings, hardly. So this year is my first year that I've kept a hatchling, and I bred her this year. She's actually the pied that I paired to the monarch. So that's a pretty big thing for me this year. But it's pretty cool growing something up that you made and breeding it. I wished I would have kept something, from my first year or so. I actually did keep the one from my first year, but she was a problem feeder. And I actually gave her to a friend, and it came back when he got divorced. So,
Mm.
and she's still really small. She's just been a problem feeder from the get-go. But I don't know. That's just a pretty big goal for me this year, is seeing her lay, especially to something that, Pied Monarch stuff. It's pretty cool.
Okay. So we're focused on double recessives. Are you gonna try to keep the kids more involved with the snakes, or I'm not? I know they're in there at times. I don't know exactly what their role is, like what you let them do, because everyone's different with their kids. Like I know mine, I'll let them hold the smaller ones while they're being cleaned, or like I'll let them help me change waters and stuff. But there's or like feed the small snakes. But other than that, I guess it is a lot. It doesn't seem like a lot to me, but I feel like I keep them in a freaking little safety bubble.
I don't. Jack's wild, so I mean, if he gets bit, he kind of deserves it. But that's actually how I broke him from biting at daycare. He kept biting at daycare, and I'm like, dude, you're gonna get us kicked out, and you're gonna have to stay at home by yourself. But I mean, they help out. They'll change waters. Um, they're only 3 and 4, but they'll come in here and they'll play with stuff. They'll want to hold stuff. Sydney sits in my little director's chair that I have in here and says she's the boss, and she'll just sit here and watch everyone else work. But I mean, yeah, they do change waters and they play with stuff, and they handle all my hatchlings. So when we go to a show, like they'll pack them for me. And that really works out for, like the less expensive stuff that are going to pet homes. They play with them all the time. So it kind of helps out.
Okay.
But they don't really do much. They'll wash some tubs out in the front yard. I'll give them a bottle of soap and the water hose, and they'll wash them all day long.
Okay. That's freaking awesome.
They
I
help
haven't gotten them that far yet. Like once they see there's poop in the tub, they just walk out the door. They don't even want to deal with it. All right, we'll get
Their
you
favorite thing's doing the rats, though. They'll like to scoop out the shavings and the pellets and put it in there. And Jack's weird. He'll just play with all the rats.
That's what I was getting ready to ask, because I didn't know. I was like, with a collection that size, you have to be breeding your own rats.
Oh yeah. I have 3 ARS, I have 2 Freedom Breeder and 1 ARS rodent racks. And then I have some wooden racks, and then I have I don't know, I probably have about 100 tubs of rats.
Wow.
Yeah, it's definitely an all-day job, the rat room.
So is that, do you guys like split that up between you and Craig, or is that one person doesn't want to deal with rats?
So he waters them and he
Okay.
feeds them sometimes. Most of the time I feed them as I go. But we sometimes take turns. The neighbor across the street, she's a lunch lady, so she gets out from school early, and I bribe her to come over and help me most of the time. But yeah, we usually take turns on who does it, because I usually do it on Wednesdays, and we don't have someone that can watch the kids on a Wednesday. Or if I'm off work, early, she'll come over and we'll get it knocked out. But yeah, we take turns on rat day. It's more me though. He did it last week. But
Okay.
and Thursdays I do all the snake work by myself.
Who does the pairing ideas? Is that all out of you, or is that a combined effort? Do you guys say like, hey, this combo would be really cool, or
This year that's been all Craig. I ain't even gonna lie, because I haven't been, like, I'm too OCD, and I'm like, I don't need anything else to care for right now. I don't need anything else to clean, because I'm the type of person, like, if I'm going to clean one tub, I'm going to have to clean them all. Like, I don't changing waters. If their water needs topped off, they're getting all new water throughout the whole thing. So he's actually paired the snakes this year. But I mean, there's stuff that we've bought to grow up to obviously that goes to it. Like I have some Desert Ghost G-stripe stuff this year that I'm pretty excited about. But he's been consistent on making sure everything's paired. I did it all last year, but that's pretty much all him this year.
Nice.
Not even gonna lie on that one. I was content with a small year.
That's a good team, though. You guys are finding ways to make it work around 2 kids, which is hard. Very hard. You both work. So it's impressive. Especially young kids. Like I gotta wait for my kids to go to bed most of the time. Like my wife's in here like passing out in the chair holding a snake. I'm like, hey, don't let it get on the floor. I'm over here shoveling shit. Don't let the snake go. But the poor lady, like I got 3 and my oldest is 5, my middle's 3, and my youngest is turning 2 on the 1st. So it's a lot of energy all day long going. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no way. No way. And on Saturdays, I give him props. Craig actually has stayed up with me the past 2 Saturdays till 5:30 in the morning. He called it quits at like 4:30 this past Saturday. But I literally pull an all-nighter getting things cleaned. So he actually survived the Sunday or the Saturday with me. But it's a lot of work. A lot.
So going into the rats, because I'm getting back into it. There's just with what I want to do. Obviously, I have to. I can't just do frozen thawed if I'm gonna grow my numbers. What size colonies are you doing? Are you separating after they lay their litter? Like, what's kind of your process that you do with your rats?
So I have in the ARS tubs, they're just kind of like, I don't know what size exactly tubs they are. I don't remember, but they're not like the massive ones. But I do 3 females and a male in there. I don't rotate my rats like I should. So about every 6 months, you need to be recycling your male because they're actually, from what I've read, I don't know 100%, but the male is actually the ones that causes the infertility before the females do. So once the females get old, obviously they're going to have smaller litters, but the male also plays a big part in that as well. And here we actually don't run an air conditioner in my rat room. It's just fans. And I have a rat building beside my snake house that is, I think it's 16 by 24. So it's pretty big, but half of it's blocked off for the rats, and then the other half is where Craig puts his lawnmower and stuff. So I keep that door open, and that kind of helps out. But I don't use an air conditioner or anything, so that kind of affects the breeding on them. Same thing with heat. They have a little heater in there, but the room's so small, if I seal it up completely, it doesn't get that cold in there. But that also affects their breeding. But 4 rats in there. If I cycled the male out, I mean, I could produce enough rats for my entire collection. But sometimes I don't, rotate them like I should. I get attached to them, or if I make a cute rat, he can live in there for a while. But, I just leave them in there. Once they have their babies, I ain't got time to go out there and pull them. I don't have time to count who had how many babies. I just literally know, this day we're going to end this tub. Right. This day we're going to end this tub. And if they kill the male in this one, I'll just rotate the male up. Or if they kill a female, I'll just rotate the females up to keep them full colonies. But, if I have 3 rats die in 1 week. That's almost a complete tub that's empty that I can start a new colony with if I just keep moving them up. I don't know. It's a lot of work. Pretty much just wing it.
So what's kind of like the daily for you guys? Because it seems like you have to stay up pretty late to get everything done with animals. So what's a typical day in your life look like?
Well, so depends on how busy my work schedule gets, but most days, you know, I'm at work by 7:30. Kids are at school by 7:30. Some days I don't get off work until 7:30. If something crazy happens, you know, I'm not getting home until 8 or 8:30. Time they get baths, eat dinner. My son, I don't understand why he doesn't sleep, but he doesn't. So some nights, you know, he won't go to bed until like 10:30 or 11. His kid's 3. And you know, I can't do any of my chores until they're asleep. I can't come outside or else they're running wild. But last night I was chasing chickens in the yard at 12:30. The little baby chickens, I put them in the pen for the first night. They're going to have their own night last night outside. And I hear like little pecks on my back door, and they've got out of the pen and they're wanting back in the house. They're just little bitty. So, I mean, it just really depends. But, you know, I don't really get my day started until 10:30. You know, I have to go through and answer. You know, I'm no one important by all means, but I do get a lot of messages throughout the day. And that's really when I get a chance to go back and reply to everybody, as in the evenings. Evenings meaning like 10:30 at night. And that's when we have hedgehogs, a rabbit, hamsters, chickens, a duck. You know, that's stuff that has to be, and a cat and a dog. That's stuff that has to be cared for every single day. So they're on my routine, and then, you know, checking rat waters, and then coming out here, making sure, you know, the caiman has water in his pond, turning everybody's lights on and off, feeding the iguanas. So I realistically do not slow down until about 1:30 in the morning. And Wednesday, I'm off on Thursdays. So Wednesdays, it's much, much later. Same thing with Saturdays, because I'm off on Sundays. So my days just get started at 10:30 when everyone goes to sleep.
How's the caiman?
He's getting big. He still hates me, but he's getting big.
What's it like? I mean, obviously, there's not a lot of people that share anything about them. You have books and stuff on it, but like other than Nerd, I don't really think I know many people that share kind of what keeping a caiman's like.
You know, I love him to death, but I don't really understand why somebody would want a caiman as a pet. And he's not a pet I actually like, hey, I want this, I'm going to buy it. He's a rescue. He was living in somebody's bathtub. So he's had a crappy start from the get-go. We've had him a year now. He's not very big. I don't think he's going to get much bigger just because of the crappy conditions he lived in previously. I mean, they need a lot of room. They need a lot of food. He poops constantly in his water, which clogs up his filter. Pretty much anytime you want to hold him, he bites you. I mean, it's cool having one, but I don't, you know, there's really nothing, you can't really do nothing with it.
Right.
I don't
It's
think
just kind of
there's,
one of those show animals.
yeah, there's not really much you can do to train him. I don't guess. There's not really much socializing with him. Like, he'll hiss at you and run. But I still hold him. You know, I pretty much hold him. When he was in the house, I used to hold him every single day. But his new cage, he has like this little rock he can go under. And I have to pretty much dig him out to get him out from under that rock. And it really pisses him off. So I'm like, okay, when you want to talk, you can come out. We'll hang out. But until then, I just kind of let him do his own thing and just feed him. But he actually climbed out of his cage last weekend or the weekend before. The top's off of his cage because he doesn't climb. He doesn't really do much. He just basks and he swims a little bit and that's it. But yeah, sure enough, he literally climbed out of his cage.
Bet that was fun.
My neighbor, the lunch lady, she came in here to get a box and she bent down and she's like, I hear Steve hissing. She said, I looked over and he's like standing there staring at me. Like, oh. Craig probably would have crapped his pants if that would have happened to him. He don't touch him at all.
Have you tried like doing the click training or any target training or stuff like that?
He just really started coming around when he will even eat in front of me. I try the whole alligator sound and everything. He really don't care. When someone else is in here, he won't eat in front of them. He only eats in front of me. So I feel like we're making a little bit of progress, but I'm having a better chance of luck of training a wild squirrel than him at this point.
That's crazy.
Yeah. But that's okay. I mean, you can't really... It's the same thing with the Gilas. I mean, they're not something that you want to get out and hold every single day. But, I mean, I did hold one of them for the first time without a glove Sunday. Kind of on accident.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
You're going to hear it from Earl if Earl's still watching. Or from Shane.
I know. I asked Shane all kinds of questions and he got bit. I'm like, how bad did it hurt? He's like, oh, it hurt pretty bad. I was like, oh, surely I can take it. If it happens. But I use a glove to like maneuver on, but Craig was handing it to me and I only had one glove and I just reached under it and grabbed it and I was like, holy cow, what am I doing? But he's really chill.
That's good. Nice.
I mean, it's just kind of animals. You can't really do much.
What are those guys like? Because you've had them for a little while now, right? You've had them for
about a year.
Yeah. Yep, there's Earl. Gloves.
I know. I don't know. They're so fun to watch. I keep them in the little vision cages, and they have like little hides. And I'll just sit in here and watch them. They'll like go through the little cage with their hide on top of them, like a little turtle shell. They're hilarious. I love them. Like I said, if I don't have a male and a female, I'll just keep buying more until I have a male and a female.
Nice.
But Tom actually successfully bred Gilas in the 80s. Like multiple Gilas. And he actually got bit by one. So that's the reason why his wife made him get rid of them. By no means, I'm not trying to get bit by a Gila, because if I go down for an entire day, the whole house goes down for an entire day. We can't have that.
Right. So I take it that means that there's no other hots that are going to be there.
No, which in Tennessee, you can't have anything venomous here. No venomous snakes, and no poisonous lizards. Or no poisonous reptiles. That's what it says. But yeah, that's it. Nothing else. Can't have anything else. My indigo is pretty close to a little cobra, though. She's pretty feisty. I can pretend.
How's that feeding response? I feel like, especially when they're babies, they're a little crazy.
Yes.
And then
she's wild.
They're like extremely food driven.
Yeah, she's wild. So I can't keep her in a rack, obviously, because she doesn't have heat in here. And she's at the front half of the building where it's colder. So she's in like a little tank. I've got her set up in a little tank for now. I fed her for the first time yesterday since she's been in that thing. and she was wild. She literally went from end to end trying to catch the mouse. It was wild. So I couldn't imagine having anything venomous. Never.
So Austin asked, what do you think the next big morph's going to be in ball pythons? If you had to choose one.
You know, I hope. You know, I don't know. I mean, I don't think anything's ever going to be as big as clown, to be honest with you. I don't know. I think Desert Ghost, though, is fixing to really take off in the next year or so. I'm hoping Monarch does. That's my goal, at least. I will have, I think, 6 clutches of Monarch stuff this year.
Wow. Heck yeah.
So I'll be holding a lot back, but hopefully that's the next biggest thing. For Ultramel to be so pretty, there's really not a lot of stuff out there with Ultramel in it.
Well, I think there was a lot of people that were invested in it too, and I don't know if they're just not showing stuff, or because I know JT had a lot before that fire. I don't know how much of it he lost or anything like that, obviously, but other people that I know, they have good collections. They don't put pictures of it up as often as I guess I would think I would.
Right. I always try to find stuff with an Ultramel and see what I could potentially pair to Monarch and see what the difference would be. Because seeing one side by side, they look totally different as adults. Mm-hmm. But you have to look at them side by side or you'll never see it.
Well, and that's essentially what I had to do. I've seen plenty of Ultramel stuff in person, and up until a couple of months ago when I visited Sydney and Steve over at MSB, mm-hmm. I had never seen a Monarch in person. And I'm like, okay, now I can see why people say they're different. But for the longest time, I was on that bandwagon of saying, oh, they're the same damn gene.
Yeah. You know, there's a Monarch, someone paired a Monarch to an Ultramel and got all normals. But I don't know what ever happened to those. Kind of curious what would happen if you brought those two back together.
That's weird. See, I didn't even know that pairing had happened yet. I figured it had, but
yeah.
So I gotta ask this: who do you think created the best animal last year?
You know, this is gonna sound terrible, but I don't really. I mean, I'll look, but this whole past year, I was just been focused on my building. What is it? Levance. He made something crazy. The Desert Ghost Clown. I don't remember what it was. I seen it the other day, actually. He's starting to pair it up, I think, this year. But I haven't really, that's terrible to say, but I haven't really been keeping up with everything really recently.
Honestly, there's nothing wrong with that. Just means you're focused on you and what you got to do.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with being focused.
That's terrible. Now that I stop and think about it, I don't know. It's terrible. I like Josh Jensen's Super Wookiee. That looked pretty cool. I do remember that. But other than that, no, I haven't really been, because obviously I'm never going to be able to catch up to something that Justin's doing or anyone like that, you know? It's cool to look at, but it's something I can make this year. focus on that later. Yeah, I'm gonna have to really think about it.
Did you start with palpating? Like, did Tom have you palpating, or did you start with ultrasounding right away?
I did do a little bit of palpating, but my first year I was just really consistent on pairing. Started in November and quit in May. I was like really consistent. If they didn't lock, they were going back same place, same time the next week. Or if they did lock, they were going back the same time the next month. And that's how I kind of got the cycle of when my girls would go. And then I noticed the next year I did the same thing, and those girls were laying a week early or a week late from the original day that they first laid. And, my third year, I did the same thing. But, by that year, I had different girls and the ones I originally started with. But once you figure out their schedule, like, I didn't need to do any of that. Like, I just knew, hey, this is what's going to happen. This is when she lays. This is when I need a pair. But now he did have me ultrasound probably about 30 something snakes this past summer, because that's when I bought my ultrasound machine. So he kind of, showed me how to work it. But I've done both. To be honest with you, I've ultrasounded more dogs and hamsters and rats and humans than I have my snakes in my ultrasound machine. It's terrible. It's kind of.
So, if you had a choice, which route would you go, and why?
If I had more time, I would pick ultrasounding. I still probably wouldn't. I just like seeing it versus feeling it. But I mean, it takes a lot of time to ultrasound an animal. It really does. It's messy. And I just don't. I actually let Sydney and Jack ultrasound some snakes for me not too long ago. They did pretty good.
Nice.
So, I don't know. It's a lot of time.
If you had one show that you don't usually go to, that you could make it to, like take the work flags away right now. If you could go to any show in the country that you haven't been to yet, what would it be?
I want to go to Pomona hands down, but I also really want to go to Hamburg just because that's a venomous show. I'm like really fascinated with venomous stuff. Do I want it? No. Would I die? Absolutely. I just like looking at it. I don't know, but I want to go to Pomona.
Okay. Pomona's a great freaking time. Like, I get anxiety really bad because of it, because it is, like I was saying earlier, it's literally shoulder to shoulder. Like, you're sitting there like this and like pushing your way through the aisles, and then when you see the booth you want to be to, you just kind of like, you're like nudging people through. You're like moving their kids away from them so that they have to move. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not that bad, but
it's just strolling. That's what Tinley is in October. Like Tinley in October is ridiculous. I made the mistake of taking my kids the second time we went. No, you don't take kids. But
okay.
I don't know. Do they have venomous at Pomona?
At Pomona, no. I don't think that California is allowed to vend venomous. I think Texas has like 4 or 5 shows a year where they do venomous. And then I think, what is it called? The one in Missouri. I think it's the
Venom Fest?
Show Me shows or something like that.
Yeah, I think it's called Venom Fest.
Yeah.
I want to go to that too. I forgot about that. That's coming up, I think.
Mm-hmm. They do that one like, let's say like every 2 months, actually. It's like every
Really?
2 or 3 months that they do one of those.
Yeah. So if I get vaccinated, I can travel state lines. So I'm going to get my vaccine this weekend. I do believe. So hopefully I'll be able to start going to a little bit more shows this year. But yeah, that's when I'd want to go. I just want more Gilas. I have 2 empty vision cages. I need more Gilas. They're hard to find here.
There's a couple people. Well, I don't know how it works. You probably can't get those cross state lines. I don't know how it would work.
Can't really ship them.
Yeah, you have to
So
like hand deliver them.
yeah,
Find someone that's willing to hand deliver it.
I drove to South Carolina, I think, for the last ones. And I went all the way to Louisiana looking for more. To the Slidell show. We did that one too. I forgot about that. But,
Heck yeah. Well, ma'am, I know you're very busy, and I definitely don't want to take up like your entire night because I know you got stuff to do. Uh, thank you for hanging out with us tonight. Thank you for taking the time. Where can we find you?
I just started my Instagram last year. I'm doing pretty good keeping up with it. So Instagram, Facebook. I'm actually posting a YouTube video, I think tomorrow. I actually recorded it like 3 weeks ago, but editing is absolutely terrible. I hate it. Something always happens in the middle of me recording a video, but hopefully it'll be done tomorrow. But yeah, mainly Instagram, Facebook, and Morph Market. I have a few things left.
And it's all just Full Throttle Reptiles?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Awesome. All right, y'all. Give Alyssa some freaking love. Like, she's awesome. She works her ass off. She's been doing her thing. I do have her Instagram and I believe her YouTube in the description below. So make sure you check those out. Get her to put those videos out so we can see what's going on in that she shed.
I don't think I've shared the picture of the complete inside to anybody yet.
Well, I'm going to be anxiously awaiting that video.
I'm trying.
All right. Y'all have a great week. Enjoy yourselves. Like I said, make sure you give Alyssa some love. Next week, we're going to have Shanti from Creature Teachers on. We're going to be looking at the education side of the industry. Y'all have a great night. Enjoy yourselves. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.